Right, work continues on the Runabout. If you remember from the previous update, on the lower half of the Runabout, I primed the interior. I also primed the underneath part of the bottom section. Because once all this is closed up and lighted, I don't really want to be turning this upside down. Because I don't want anything on the interior to fall out and come loose. So basically, if you remember the Federal Standards base colour for the hull, I did my comparisons and I got number 129 Humbrol acrylic in the pot, and that's the closest to the actual main hull coat, the base colour. So as you can see, I've painted that on, took 2 coats to get it right. Once that had dry, I then started picking out the detailing, as you can see, as it says on the plans. So I've basically gone with the, where's that pot? The 36188 ochre for the sand. So I've done that. I'm going to have to do a second coat, obviously. For the grey, I went with the 36157. And just done that bit of detailing as well. As you can see. I've still got a bit more to do, but that's not looking too bad at the moment. Going on to the top half of the Runabout, I've started my light blocking. So basically what I did is using my edging tape, just put some edging tape on the edges because I want that to be bare plastic to bare plastic when I glue all this together, the top half and the bottom half. I've also put some masking tape on the outer hull, as you can see, around the windows and where the arms go in for the nacelles, and around the back windows there. And I just primed on the inside first, let that dry for about an hour, and then just with my Halford's gloss black spray, just sprayed that down and left that overnight to dry, and it's not looking too bad. So I'm going to spray another coat of the primer on so I can do the paint. I've also done the sensor arch, as you can see. You got the 2 halves here. You glue those together, left them overnight to dry with the tape. Then you got this cap, which had like a lip, and it just locked into place, and just taped that on and glued that. But the front sensor dome, as it were, only had a catch here and a catch on there just above my thumb, but it didn't lock into place. So I had to manoeuvre it round before I taped it to get it in the right position, because it kept, half of it kept wanting to push out this side and not enough this side, so centering that was a pain. The arms themselves, they've got 1 half there and 1 half there. I just glued those together and clamped those together. And if you can just about see under there, you can see that locking lip. You push the arms in when you glue it into place. I haven't glued them into place yet. And when you hear the click, you're there. So that's all ready as well. So some progress has been made. Stay with me. Work continues on the Runabout. I've got the front and rear fascia plates out because I'm going to start building the arms that mount onto from the main body to the warp nacelles. They call it the wing stroke impulse engine assembly. Now if you look at this front fascia plate here, it's got like a gridded mesh pattern. Now I don't know if the camera's going to pick it up that well, but you can probably just make out that gridded mesh pattern there. Now if I do what the plans say and just paint that orange, I don't think it's going to look really nice. I just don't think it's going to work out. This needs to be lighted, these sections here. So I'm going to have to address this. Now looking on YouTube videos that modelers have done their Runabouts, lit it up, I don't know if they've actually dug that out with a Dremel and then put a bit of clear plastic in, maybe frosted on one side, and then the LED shines through. Now I was thinking about doing the same with a sheet plastic, clear sheet plastic, and frost it on the one side with some Tamiya fine sandpaper. Or maybe, if you remember from the WRC Ford Fiesta build from a couple of years ago, I'd got some fabric mesh in the black fabric for the front intake on the bumper, but I hadn't got enough. So my wife did a little search on the internet for modelling mesh, and she picked this up off eBay. A 9 by 20 metre sheet, you get 3 sheets, £1 plus £1.50 postage. Now you can see that the holes are slightly bigger than on that, but I'm hoping if I cut a bit of that out once I've drilled all that out, I'm hoping this will do the job once I painted it orange and the orange LED is going to be behind it. So I'm going to do that now and we'll see how it works out. Stay with me. Right, as you can see on the one of the front fascias, you can see that I've dug out with my Dremel. I haven't quite finished fine sanding it down yet, but you can see that it looks a hell of a lot better with that gridding pattern as compared to that. I'm loving this, not too bad at all. It took me about 30 minutes to get the Dremel, well, to do all the Dremeling and then sanding out to the edges, but that is looking a hell of a lot better than it did. Right, you know that I've hollowed that piece out. In Chongping, it says to mount it onto the main side wall, well, the inner side wall, whatever. The trouble is that inner side wall is solid. So what I've done, as you can see, I've put the piece into place just to hold it down, and then I've had to draw on the inside because that is going to have to come out as well, because the LED is pretty much going to go in that compartment where my finger is. The work on the arm continues. Right, as you can see, I've now bored through where I've done the tracing with my Dremel. I've left that middle beam in, using my needle files to file it down and make it look a bit neater. It's not 100% perfect, but it'll do. Got a piece of my mesh and cut it out. Just traced it round the fascia and trimmed it. I'll just drop that on there. Hopefully these bottles will hold that piece up. And then I'll get my fascia. Just gently drop that on there. And as you can see, it's looking absolutely fantastic. It's looking way better than if I'd have just left all that gridding in. Absolutely fantastic. That's really gone on down. That's really gone down well, that has. Stay with me. Right, welcome back. A little bit of progress has been made on the Runabout, namely on the arms, where I glued in when I was doing the mesh work. Basically what I've done, because where I left you I just bored through on the inside there. So basically what I did is I got some of my industrial strength super glue and super glued the mesh onto the inside, so on the outer part, sorry, of the arm. With my pressure clamps I decided to put one of my clamp heads on this side here, and then I put the fascia on there and then put the other clamp head on there and just put the pressure on and left it overnight, and it actually glued down the fascia as well. And then once it had dried, once I realised it glued down the fascia, I then just ran some glue around the edges just to give it a bit of extra security, and I put some of that glue on the inside as well, and it dried clear, the glue did, so it didn't block any of the mesh holes. Turning this round, I also put the rear fascia on, but before I did the rear fascia, where that hole is there, that was blocked. It was just a bit of sheet plastic on the inside. So what I did before I glued it down, I drilled a hole in the side of the arm itself, and then from the rear part of the plate, before I glued it down, I just got my Dremel, just went through slightly, not too much, just a bit, and then got my flat needle file and just went through and just smoothed it down and kneaded it up. And then I just glued that as normal with my normal model glue onto the back of there, and use the pressure clamps again, and then overnight they just took them off. So as you can see, it looks, like I said, you can see right through, because I want some of the LED orange to go through there as well. I've also glued the arms on, the warp nacelles onto the arms. You basically just run your glue all the way down there, and then on the underneath, I'm getting tongue tied, is this little tab hole, and then the tab from the arm, you just push that in. Don't worry about the red, that's just off my clamp where I clamped it down, and that's glued on. I had really nice. Let's just left it overnight to dry. So now all this is on, I've got to figure out where I've got to drill to put my wires in, but I'm getting there. Stay with me. Just another quick update for you. I've now finished all the painting on the interior, on the rear conference area. I've done the walls, I've done the grey for the bay doors, I've done the brown for the inner walls on the bay doors. I've also painted these consoles in another grey. You've got the conference table in black and underneath in grey. I've also took that masking tape off the carpet area, because where I want the seats to glue bare plastic to bare plastic on the bottom. Also done a bit of touching up on the front section here. But now all this is ready, let me introduce you to my decal sheet. Went on to lcars.net and also did a search for Runabout lcars panels, and I've printed them on Mr. Decal clear decal paper, because if you remember from my Thunderbolt I went with Mr. Decal white paper. So you've got the couple of main nav panels that will go there and there. You've got the door panels, which will go on each of the doors next to those. You've got a couple of Runabout status panels, a couple of Runabout position panels. You've got corner panels there that will go, one will go there, one will go there. I've got a spare corner panel just in case. Then you've got a couple of L-cars that will go on the walls of the inside of the top of the Runabout, just before it's ready to be closed up. You'll have one that will go on the wall here, and you'll have one that will go on the wall here. You got the, let's move that to one side. You got the conference table decal that will go there. Then you got the two shutter panels that will go on the clear window pieces here and here, because obviously I'm not going to be doing that middle section. Then you've got a couple of L-cars that those two will go on the side wall here. And then you've got two presentation panels, those will go on the side wall here. I'll explain that in due course. And that's pretty much my decal sheet. So what I've done is I went through Microsoft Word, I've done all my measurements on my interior, and just resized them in Microsoft Word, printed them off in Microsoft Word on normal paper. Once I realised they come out really well, I then put my Mr. Decal paper through. Did that overnight to dry just to be doubly sure, and then I sealed it with some Halford's clear lacquer, acrylic. I'd read about this on the various model forums, people use this to seal the decals. It's 500ml can for £7.50. So with that, it's got a bit of string, hung it up on my fence outside, sprayed a coat, left it an hour to dry, did my second coat, left that an hour to dry, and then did a third coat and then an hour to dry, and then just put it on my desk, left it overnight, and these are now ready to go on my interior. I can't wait to see how these will look. Stay with me.